rules for writing, life would be a lot easier. But every teacher has different rules. And again, we're not talking so much about English teachers here. Okay, so here's what I want to show you. A couple of things. First of all, I have talked to a lot of teachers who are not English teachers but who have their students write, and I've asked them what bothers you the most about student writing. Number one is what I just explained here, writing that's just all over the place and not organized. But the second thing that drives teachers crazy, so this is good for you to know, has to do with number one under the general guidelines. It says, read the question carefully and watch for instruction words. Okay, what are those? Well, turn over to the back and I want to show you some examples here. This is not a complete list. There are a lot more than this, but you see the words compare down to summarize, and you see the meaning for each one. Every essay question you ever get in your life is going to have one of these words in it or another word that means something similar. And what most students do, which lowers their grade every time, is they ignore that. Okay, so here's my example. Look at the second word on the list. It says contrast, and you see the meaning of that. Okay, here, imagine you're in an English class. It's a literature class. You've been reading stories and books all semester long, and you go in for your final exam, and here's the final exam. Teacher says, contrast this character from this book with this character from this book. So that's your essay. Well, if you're like most students, you ignore that word and you write everything you know about that character and everything you know about that character. You just throw it all on the paper, and then when the teacher reads it, they read it and they think, ooh, this is all good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. D or C or whatever. And why are they giving you a bad grade if everything you wrote was good? Because what did you do wrong? Yeah, you didn't follow the instruction. They didn't want the whole life story of those two characters. They wanted you to think of maybe 3 or 4 ways in which they were different and do that. So whenever a teacher uses one of these words, they're not just sort of throwing a word out there. They want you to answer it a specific way. So one of the smartest things you could do is, before you've ever even done this, before you ever do your outline, read the question really carefully a couple times and ask yourself, where's the instruction word? And when you see it, think for a couple seconds and think, what exactly does that mean? And then try to answer it that way. And if you're able to do that, you usually can get a higher score because you're following a simple direction. Okay, back on the front side, I want to give you a couple of other ideas. Number 4 under the general guidelines says incorporate the question into your first sentence and briefly state your answer to the question. And so a lot of teachers really like this. If I give you an essay question that says, list and describe several reasons why you enjoy living in the Southern California area, okay, assuming you do. The way you start your answer is, I enjoy living in the Southern California area for several reasons, including the nice weather, the nearness to the beach and mountains, and the closeness to my family and relatives. So you repeat the question and you kind of give your answer. But if you do that, you gave it all away in the first sentence. What are you going to do for the whole rest of the essay? You kind of gave it all away. So what do you do? Write more. But what kind of writing do you do? Well, number 5. In the rest of your essay, develop the points that explain your answer and provide enough details to show that you know the material well. This is something that I always think is good news for everybody to know about. I've talked to teachers a lot and I've asked them, when you're reading a student paper and you're impressed, it's good, how do you decide whether to give the person an A or B? Because those are both, really good grades. And the answer almost every teacher gives me is the D word, which is details. If a teacher gives you